Hey everybody, welcome back to the Level Par Podcast. This is Tom Lehman. I just want to check back in with you because there's been so much that's happened since the book came out about a month ago. We've done 13 episodes of this podcast. The book is now in multiple bookstores across the South Shore of Massachusetts. It's available on Kindle, it's available on Amazon, and we're in the process of an audiobook coming out in the next couple weeks. So it has been nothing but forward momentum ever since we started this thing. And I wanted to kind of go back and look back at some of the great conversations we've already had on the podcast. Really what I wanted to do with this episode is to kind of look back at some of the reviews that we got from some of the guests that I've already had on the podcast. There's only been 2 folks who have been on the podcast who did not read the book. So I think a lot of what I wanted to get out of the push as I got towards publication was to meet people and understand what their feelings were around Level Par in the book. You know, I got a chance to learn about them and what they do in the golf industry or whatever industry they're in. But I really wanted to get a sense of like, how did they feel when they read Level Par? And how is it depicted for a golfer or for a person or for just anybody who wants to digest the story? And I got some really good, amazing feedback from some of the people who have been on the podcast already. So we're going to kick it off with Tom Kavicki. He is my golf coach. He's also the inspiration behind the golf coach in Level Par. He had a great anecdote about what it's like to read a book when somebody is struggling.
It was interesting because it was reflective about anything that you've gone through in your life. There's a period where you could go this way or that way, and then what would happen to you if you'd gone for the dark side, so to speak, instead of in the other direction. And I see that with people, and what I see in the book is this quality of not giving up, always having this optimism. No matter how deep you go in anything else and how bad it gets, there's always that bottom where you can come up. So I see that in this book about the redemption quality, but the game itself and how it plays a part in bringing people together, and they have a commonness about the common goal with the game and a thread in there that's great. And I love stories like that. I read a lot. So I read a lot of books, and I get into authors that really get good narratives on struggle. And everybody struggles.
Yeah.
Nobody's immune to that.
Agreed.
I mean, I work with young guys in their 20s and 30s, and they lost their game, and they're trying to get it back. And you can see the agony on their face and everything else. And you don't know what it does to them and drives them, and what it did to this person in the book, and how it drove him in that direction, and how he's able to come out of that a little bit because of the game.
Yeah.
Without the game, who knows what would have happened? He might have met the right person. But because he had that thread, that was important to him. And I think that's important to people about this game. There's always somebody there to help you. There's a redemptive quality about, I'll play better tomorrow. I can look forward to it. I haven't lost it. Things like that.
Yeah. Next up is Sean Melia of Bay State Golf. Sean is a really interesting guy who kind of left his job right after COVID as a teacher to pursue playing every golf course in Massachusetts. And now he basically is the person to go to when you need news about Massachusetts golf. So Sean had a really cool perspective on being a teacher, but also being around this game as a content creator for the last couple of years, and to how he's met a lot of athletes and a lot of golfers that have kind of had a lot of things going on in their head as they're trying to close out a golf tournament.
I didn't have anything to expect.
Yeah.
I loved getting a book that was, I think I said this to you, like thin.
Yes.
Like a 100-page story.
Yeah.
Is kind of something that I aspire to write as well, in some form, maybe not golf related, but I loved the idea of playing one hole and like being with the person for one hole of golf and getting the story of like his life, caddy's life, and encompassing all of that. And it's funny, we're doing this the Monday after the Shane Lowry disaster. I don't know if you saw what he had to say after his round. He said, the only thing I was excited about was winning in front of my daughter and having her come out onto, and like your book kind of speaks to that too, where, man, you watch these guys play golf and they all look like they've just like hyper focused.
Yeah.
And he just let us in on like, no, he
What's he
was
focusing on?
probably standing on the 16th tee with that 3-iron in his hand, excited in 45 minutes to see his daughter.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
he said, like, I didn't get ahead of myself, but like, I don't necessarily know if I agree that he might have gotten ahead of himself.
Yeah.
So I that part of that kind of idea of the book was very cool, as far as just, I think it's a thing a lot of people who play golf, if you read your book, you realize like, oh man, I think about a lot of stuff over the course of one hole.
Yeah.
Let alone like the 4.5, 5
Right.
hours you're out there for an entire round of golf.
You know, so much of golf is thinking about who you are mentally, but also physically putting yourself together. And Ben Pignoni is a great example of being able to do both. Ben's worked with me here and there to get my body right for the game, but also he just has a really interesting perspective on the narrative of being a man who didn't have a masculine relationship in his life, and how he needed to go and seek those out. And I think that's really what Jake's character is all about, is like building this community of men, of positive role models in his life to maybe fill a gap that wasn't there as he was growing up. And, you know, Ben gave an amazing perspective on what it was like for him to grow up. And so make sure you check out this clip, but also check out the rest of his episode as well.
Honestly, one of the biggest things, like the big theme that I came across in yours is finding a purpose in your life, whether it's golf, whatever it is. But in the book especially, it's never give up on yourself, and always feel free to reach out to people, you know? Like the character in the book, he didn't really do that. He just kind of lived his life and didn't want to reach out to anybody until essentially it almost became too late for him. And it was nice and reassuring to go through the entire book, and then it gets better and better for him, which becomes essentially like a story of my life too, because I was in a dark space too during that time. And if it wasn't for that masculine role model, I guess, it would have changed everything for me.
Yeah. Jesse Menachem is the executive director of Mass Golf, and he's been around players for so long. And I was a sports writer at the Boston Herald for years. And when Jesse was, he was still kind of the director of tournaments at the time, and I was just kind of covering the tournaments. So he didn't have his role that he has right now, but you know, you could tell that he has a true love for the game and a true love for the people around it and building community. And one of the first people that I wanted to get this book to was him, because of his influence here in Massachusetts, but also just his take on golf and his take on people. You know, Jesse has a lot of good wisdom about the state of the game, but also what it's like to be somebody who is around performers and high performers in this game of golf.
First off, just a fun, catchy read, you know, and I shared with you, I hadn't read many books in the last decade, you know, with young kids and chasing things around through work and all, but I picked it up on a flight and didn't put it down, you know, till the end. But I was hooked, you know, there were elements of that story that I've seen, you know, from afar or even up close through our competitions, our community. And I'm going to harp on that word a little bit, because I think I kept going back to what the golf community can do for people, what the game of golf can do for people, and how the whole ecosystem of it can really support or even change people's lives, right? And that's really one of those takeaways that I had.
And last but not least, we have Cristo Garcia. Cristo is a content creator, golf instructor, movie producer, writer, author, all the things under one roof. And we got connected on Instagram, and he's just an amazing guy. He's been a really cool, mentor, I guess, in a way, like kind of like an Instagram mentor that we've connected on a lot of different levels. And, we had a really great conversation at the PGA show in Orlando because he lives in Texas. It was just amazing that we were able to get together and do this in person. But we had a great conversation about golf, but a lot about writing and storytelling, because he has that blend of the two. And I was just so excited to chat with him about it.
First of all, I loved Level Par. It's a great book. And when I picked it up, I had no idea what I was getting into. And one of the things that Robert McKee taught me is you want to have a page turner. And a page turner is something that leaves you wanting the desire to keep flipping it, so I can see where the story goes. And what I was shocked about was a very astute use of anti-structure. And most stories are told A, B, C, D. And that's the way we dream.
Sure.
That's the way we tell stories generally in our daily lives. But you use a broken time structure to give us the backstory on the main character, to lead us into this adventure that he's on, where he's trying to deal with the demons from his past. And I don't want to give away the ending, but it's quite a journey from the beginning to the end.
And like I said, I just wanted to kind of get back on here and put together a podcast about the reviews on Level Par. You can continue to order the book online at levelparbook.com. It's available on Amazon. It's published by Briley and Baxter, but also distributed by Ingram. So if you are interested, say if you're in Scotland or in Ireland or in England or anywhere else, just go to your local bookstore and they can request a copy through Ingram and they'll get something shipped over to you. Or you can do that here in the States as well too. You can order online, but also if you want your bookstore to carry it, just ask them and they'll be able to kind of reach out to the distributor and get that book into the bookshop. So what my goal is over the next few weeks is to get out and about in Massachusetts and here in New England to the golf courses as they start to open up. I want to get this book into the hands as many golfers as I possibly can, and then start doing book signings and start telling this story a little bit more. But again, the Level Par podcast is something I want to keep doing and keep up as the months kind of go on, because I just feel like there are so many stories to be told in the golf world and outside of it that really fit the description of what Level Par is all about. So thank you for helping me build community. Thank you for helping me reach a lot more people with my words and this podcast. So if you could follow on YouTube and Spotify and give a like and subscribe. All right, well, until next time, I'm Tom Lehman, and keep swinging and make sure you go pick up a copy of Level Par.